Hello, and a very warm welcome back to my dear listeners. This is your host Sharmishta with episode 2 of the Game of Illusions. Officer Shashwata Chaudhary sat mulling over what Kiriti had asked him to do. Explore the angle of another woman. Now, how was he going to do that and begin where? And then find out how Sheila managed to resurface after 3 years of her death. Shashwata's mind went back to the story the solicitor had told him. Aniruddha and Sheila had both been travelling in the same train that ill-fated night when the accident occurred. It had been a night of heavy rain and strong winds when the train had left Mughal Sarai and had derailed just 8 miles later. And Aniruddha and Sheila's names had been in the list of the deceased. Solicitor Pratap Guha had no option but to shut the inheritance file. And then, 3 years later, Aniruddha Sarkar visited him in his office one morning. He claimed that he had escaped death in that accident. But his right hand had been badly damaged, for which it was on a permanent sling. He would never be able to use that hand again. Solicitor Pratap Guha, after checking his documents, had given him the permission to stay at Narahari Sarkar's ancestral home. After all, he was the rightful nephew. And then, within a month or so, Sheila Rai visited the solicitor at his office with a similar claim that she too had escaped death that night. What a strange coincidence that she too was alive. But there was nothing the solicitor could do to express doubt because Sheila's identification documents were absolutely genuine. He had then asked her, "So, what have you decided to do now?" "Whatever decision you take for me, Mr. Guho." "Very well then. I shall inform Aniruddha Babu that you are alive and—" Sheila had looked startled upon hearing that. "You mean Aniruddha Babu is still alive?" Yes. Just like you are, Sheila. Except that he has lost the strength of his right arm. Anyways, let me give him a call. He'll be delighted. He had been very saddened when I had told him that the train accident had claimed your life. Aniruddha had not been home when the solicitor had called. Sheila suggested she would stay at a hotel till Aniruddha was informed. But the solicitor had declined the idea. "He may not like it that you are at a hotel. It would be better if I dropped you off at his place." Sheila had accompanied him to the huge house. An old servant had greeted them and, after instructions from the solicitor, had opened the guest room for Sheila. They learned that Aniruddha had gone out of Kolkata for some work. Upon his return a few days later, his servant informed him of Sheila's arrival. Aniruddha had been shocked and had hurriedly gone to meet her. "Hello, Aniruddha, I'm so glad to see you. It's the grace of God that we are still alive." Aniruddha had hesitated for a moment and then asked, "You are Sheila? I mean, Sheila Rai?" "Yes, Aniruddha, who else will I be?" "Pardon me, but you are not Sheila. You cannot be her." "But Aniruddha, I am Sheila. What makes you think I am not?" "You are not Sheila. You are an impostor." He had stormed out of the room and headed straight to the solicitor's office. "Mr. Guho, what exactly are you trying to do? That woman in my home is not Sheila." "But Aniruddha Babu, I have checked all her documents and identification papers. There is no doubt in my mind about her." "Oh, please. I don't care what you may have done. This woman is lying and you, Mr. Guho, are making a big mistake. You've seen her only in photographs, but I I have met her a couple of times and knew her well. Knew her well, Aniruddha Babu? What do you mean? Nothing. That's not important. Look, Mr. Guho, I agree that the face is the same. Features, everything. Yet I'm 100% convinced that she's not the Sheila I knew. I cannot pinpoint on it, but Aniruddha Babu, have you told her what you just told me? Of course I have, and you know what? She tried to convince me that she was indeed Sheila. But enough, she will have to leave the house immediately. If you don't make the arrangements, I shall have to inform the police. Aniruddha Babu, I shall not take any action like this. You are welcome to do what you want to. Very well, Mr. Guho. You leave me no choice. And that was how Shashwata Chaudhary became associated with this peculiar case. The police had intervened and had made sure Sheila stay on in that house. It was then that Shashwata had contacted Kiriti for help. Sheila, in the meanwhile, was having to face the daily ire of Aniruddha. He loathed the very sight of her and called her an impostor. Yet Sheila never lost her cool. Her silence and her smiles angering Aniruddha all the more. Why was Sheila doing this? Was there really any need for her to subject herself to Aniruddha's accusations and bad behavior? Was she here because of the inheritance? Or was she here for another reason? Let's find out when I return soon with the next episode. Till then,